Hi, hello, it's me, I'm back again. So we've been upgraded from notes to clipboard because this got out of hand very quickly. So if you haven't seen the other video, that was basically like, hey, there aren't really any characters in this video, and that's fine. We don't judge here. And if you're gonna judge, that's rude and you should leave. Anyways, so essentially this specific story idea is mostly just the power system and like the world building and the lore, and I have like a couple ideas of like people who would be fun to follow but like haven't really picked anyone. So I'm going to tell you about the power system. I will warn you ahead of time, partway through I'm going to be like, hey, this is kind of a spoiler, and I'm going to start yapping about a bunch of lore that won't be explicitly stated in the text. Not necessarily. It might be said, but it's gonna be a minute, and it's gonna be like a, oh, that's cool kind of thing. And so if you're okay with knowing that, fabulous, stick around. But if you don't want to know, dip. So yeah, just an FYI. But to the power system, we're here. Okay, so the way that this particular power system works, it's sort of like a warlock system, or like a paladin kind of situation. To receive your power, you must successfully pledge to one of the eight gods of this specific world: honor, chaos, life, death, purity, vengeance, loyalty, or desire. Sort of their like MO thing. That's like their name, but also sort of their concept, obviously. I haven't decided if they're gonna have like a real name kind of situation going on. We'll see. But yeah, so in this specific world, wizards create something called like a boundary or like a command in relation to themselves, a place, or like an idea. Ideas are kind of difficult, so yeah. But it's usually like in reference to yourself, or it's conditional in a certain kind of way. The conditional stuff usually gets like more leeway to be powerful and not be nerfed. I'll get to that in a second. The way that you get more powerful, or you get more like world commands, is I guess what I'm calling them, something like that. I'll flesh it out later. That's kind of what I've got in my brain. You basically do like a mini personal ritual to gain another like world command. The way that you would do that is that the way that this power systems work is it's like trying to essentially it's playing to the themes of the story. The themes of the story is like loyalty and like power reveals and stuff like that, because to get more powerful you have to let someone in, because when you do a personal ritual with someone to get another's power, you're also making them immune to every single power that you've had in the past. So if this is your third power, the person you've just done it with is immune to your last two. They just does not affect them. So the more people that you let in, the more people who are theoretically could get after you, because you can't use their powers on them. Gotten a little distracted. I jumped ahead a little bit. But yeah, so you need to use like a symbol from whichever god you picked. They have a symbol. And you need to either draw it on something, like you could be really fire and like carve it into your skin like a crazy person, or you could just, draw it in the dirt. Or you could go the standard route, which is to just have a tattoo that you can touch, and that's like, it counts, so it's great. It just means that people know which one you're from, which will be relevant later. Cough, cough, spoilers. Spoiler section. Fun times. Essentially, after that, you would say, may the world heed my command, and then you say your thing. You insert your rule here. And then your fingertips or the edge of your radius will like sparkle or glow for a second to let you know what kind of activation your power is, because for nerfing purposes, I needed to add this because I realized how broken this is. So this power system is already broken, and so it's going to be really hard for me to moderate it. I've come up with a couple things that are spoilers that kind of help a little bit. But yeah, so when you have a power, depending on how, let's just say the moderators, there's some people who, or maybe it's a system, there's something going on that is deciding whether or not the thing you asked for is too broken. Because if it's too broken, they'll make it a touch power instead of a radius power. Radius being like an AoE thing, so like, let's see what's an example I have on here. Like Don't Lie to Me is a command that you could choose. And if, for example, someone decided that was too cracked, which it's not, it would be like a touch thing. So you would have to hold hands with somebody to know if they're like, or force them to tell you the truth. Whereas what will actually happen is it'll be a radius power. A radius power is usually seen as a bad thing, but that's not true. It's sort of a late game thing where radius powers are actually pretty busted. Well, that's not true. The reason that you get downgraded to touch is because radius is busted. But yeah, your radius does kind of suck at the beginning, so you kind of want touch, depends on your build. I'm going to use gamer terms for this, by the way. It's not going to say that in story, but I'm going to say it to you because it helps me think about it. Essentially, you as the person, what was I talking about? It's completely gone. Right, okay. So you, as you're gaining more powers, your radius size grows. So you are able to affect more people, essentially. Like it starts pretty small, and then after you've got a couple powers, like, okay, it's a little bigger, and then eventually you're insane, and you have like an entire town or a city or something. I haven't exactly decided what the scaling is on that. But we'll get to that later. I know what some of the scales are. Spoilers. Okay, so yeah, so I skipped ahead to this party. Every time you complete your ritual with a unique person, you can't spam on the same person. You gain the command, and the person's also immune to all your past commands. You can't use the same person twice. But examples, I mentioned like Don't Lie to Me. The way that it works is it's weirdly like I don't want to say monkey's paw, but that's kind of what it is. Sometimes you get told no when you are trying to make your world command. You can get your card might decline is essentially what's happening. Is you ask for something and they're like, rephrase that. So there's sort of like I want to say like a lingo barrier or like a language blocking method of some kind. So you can't ask for something that's too cracked or something that technically would be like 2 powers. Because if it's 2 powers, then you need 2 like power points to use it. So you need 2 separate ones instead of basically just asking for 2 things at the same time, if that makes sense. So there's a certain amount of like rules lawyering that like essentially there is a thing that will stop you from being too cracked because I need balance in this, okay? I've realized how busted this is, okay? There we go, okay. Another example that is good, there's like a specific build, like the pacifist build that I thought of that I would really love to give somebody and maybe several people's, is you may not harbor ill will while in my presence, which basically just means that if they're in your range, no stabbies. And that's like pretty goated actually. But that one specifically in conjunction with whatchamacallit. Yeah, you can't leave my radius once you're in it without my permission. So you can't murder me, and you can't leave unless I let you. And essentially you trap anyone who becomes near you unless you let them out. You could also put that in with like the truth one, and you could stack it with something else. And again, essentially you have like the perfect interrogation build, the perfect like capture someone build. It's great. It's fabulous. Anyways, so there's more stuff. I've used about half of my 1/3. The other 2/3 is spoilers. So here is your little reminder dance. If you don't want to know, leave. This is the spoiler dance. So don't, pee your pants. Just the spoiler dance. Okay. Now that you have left, if you care, or the fun part. This is the fun lore part. Okay, so these folks are essentially cursing themselves, okay? It's a curse. You're phrasing the curse that you're putting on yourself. You're voluntarily cursing yourself. That's essentially what's happening here. Occasionally you have something that's more affecting other people than it is affecting you, but it's effectively a curse. A lot of the things that people will be saying in another story would be interpreted as a bad thing, but people are choosing to inflict these things upon themselves for reasons. Anyways, so I also think that some of you are wondering, maybe you're perhaps you're like, I wonder what happened if you had like, I don't know, like 100 people or X amount of people. That's like a lot of people that you would get for your thing. What would happen? And well, you don't have to guess because it's already happened. In fact, several times it's happened where there's, you've kind of like broken the game a little bit. The balance is shaken, and that's a little bit concerning. So guess what? There's a moderation system of some kind that essentially means that you can't do that. Kind of. So let me explain. So if you have a normie who hasn't pledged to like a god yet, or hasn't gotten around to it, or got their stuff yoinked recently, that would mean you are like level 0. Like you got no juice, no power, nothing going on. 1 to 5 people is like you're a wizard and it's good for you. It's not that big of a deal. From 6 to 15 though, that's when it gets interesting. When you make your handshake, by the way, I didn't really mention this. Personal ritual is just sort of like a thing you do that's sort of like, hey, you're cool, but like it wasn't something you would do on accident. So usually people won't pick the handshake one, but like it'd be like, I don't know, you give them like a kiss on their hand or their cheek, or you would like do a secret handshake that's like more complicated. Basically, it's personal to the person. Like, for example, like you're a comedy relief guy. Maybe he like always calls people by nicknames, and like his thing is like, if I call you by your full name, that would be his like, oh, okay, you're chill with me, and we just did our little ritual thing. Anyways, by the way, you cannot decline. This is involuntary. You cannot say no thank you to a ritual being done at you. This is no, sorry, it doesn't work. So that's fun. Also, it's still effective even if you murder the person right after. So that's fun. If you so this fire system, I did mention I was kind of busted. Yeah, so you could essentially just like pick handshake and handshake with an entire village and then murder all of them? Yeah. It's happened before. It's a little concerning. That's why we have beef. Let me tell you about the beef. I'm sure you would have noticed that I mentioned the gods in pairs. There's a reason there's 8 of them, and there's a reason there's an even number of them. It's because they kind of hate one of the other ones like a lot, so they kind of cancel each other out by beefing with each other all the time. So honor and chaos, they beef, they don't like each other. Purity and vengeance, they beef, they don't like each other. Life and death, they beef, they don't like each other. Loyalty and desire, they beef, they don't like each other. So there's sort of like 4 vaguely good concepts. Spoiler it again, that's not necessarily the case. All of them can suck, and all of them can be chill. Even the evil sounding one are chill sometimes. Because, like, think about it. A lot of protagonists, like, their main motivation is vengeance. Like, you can be chill and be after vengeance, okay? Like, it's fine. Anyways, I need to move on because it's going to be a really long video. Anyways, so. I was talking about beef. I was talking about too powerful. Right, okay. So, we have normie levels. 1. We have 2. Wizard. We have 3. Pretty good wizard. So, when you do your little handshake thing, that's the one I'm going to use for the example. You do your little handshake. Handshake means that the person that you've given it gets like a little bit like a power-up boost type thing. I haven't exactly decided it is. It's just sort of like a passive boost type thing. It's sort of like in Avengers where there's like the super soldier serum people who are like, hey, like, I don't really have powers, but like I won't die very easily. It's kind of like a buff like that where you're like, hey, I'm just harder to kill. That kind of energy. Not exactly super soldier serum levels, but like that kind of energy, you know? So if you stack enough of them, it'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, and then we get into the fun territory. Power 3, which is the 16 to 100 range of people. So this is when you get concerningly strong, to the point where the world is going to step in and cause a problem about it. You can kind of get away with it for a little while, but there is essentially a level cap that is in effect. You will get, you will ascend, involuntarily. It's a manual process though, until you hit the level cap. The level cap is 1,115. Once you hit that, the system will just ascend you immediately. So you have to be careful. Be careful not to do too many people. Because otherwise you will lose access to your mortal form. So that's fun. But yeah, so after you hit level 100, you can get yoinked like manually. So one of the folks who's a level 4 or a level 5 could yoink you manually. Essentially, they just kind of like, okay, you're too powerful. Let's keep the balance, okay? And so our herald types, which are level 4, are usually the ones doing this. Since it's a manual thing, most people don't hit the level cap. It doesn't happen very often. Maybe it happened once, and that happened in the story. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Could be fun, though. Yeah, so there's a level cap. So you lose your mortal form, at least mostly. You can, once you're ascended, you can occasionally be like summoned for help and also like lend your power to someone temporarily. Sort of like a guardian angel situation, if that makes sense. But yes, you're essentially, you just like die. You don't die, but you kind of die if you're not too careful, because you just like, sorry, you can't be on Earth anymore because you might nuke it on accident. It's like not Earth, but I'm just saying Earth because it's easier. But yeah, so our herald situation are the folks who did ascend or got yoinked into ascension, and they usually are hanging out with one of our gods. Guess what? Level 5, there happens to be 8 of them. I wonder why. There's 8 of them. They're the gods are level 5, but they were people too at one point, and this is just how that they have like evolved to the point where they represent like a concept. Like that's just how they are now. It just happened that way. So there's some like lore there. Since this is a spoiler section, I'm just kind of gonna yap a little bit. Essentially what's going on is they all kind of hit the level cap around the same time, and like their followers kept their specific ritual going and had other people do it. So that's what's happening in this story. When you become a wizard, you complete the ritual of one of the gods and are essentially buffing them. For every single person who chooses that god, they are getting another person that's essentially doing the hard work for them. Instead of them doing the ritual to you, you're doing the ritual for them. But it's counting for both of you. You're getting a lot out of it. You get to be a wizard. But yeah, so that's fun. But yeah, so fun fact, you can also steal powers. Yeah, you can steal them. It comes at the caveat of if you're a normie and you like eat it or whatever, it's something you can swallow, glowy orb type situation. Then you are essentially off the spiritual grid. If you take it without pledging to anyone, that's like, it's sort of like you're on a VPN a little bit. But yeah, but you can't get any more powerful. Once you eat one, that's it. That's all you get. So be careful or become a wizard. It's up to you. It's kind of not exactly the best situation to be in, but you kind of have to be a wizard because everyone can be a wizard technically. Yeah, they're not really limiting it too much. Anyways, but yeah, that's why they kind of have it for policing purposes, because if you can't take it away from people, what if they start running amok? Because they can't really take back their power, kind of. That's what this is. When you do that, you initiate a steal. It's there's like a phrase that you use. There's like an incantation of sorts. And you have to, it's really fun. So let me explain how steal works. So it's probably gonna be called something else, but the way that a steal works is essentially you're trying to get off a spell, so to speak. You have, depending on how many powers the person's have, say I have 5 powers and someone has just used the incantation on me, steal. And I'm like pissed, obviously, because this is probably someone that I thought I could trust. And so maximum angst. But yeah, while we're having maximum angst, we get to have a countdown timer for maximum anxiety and tension. It's beautiful. So once you've recited the incantation, you are losing power. So if I have 5 powers, I have 5 minutes. For every 1 minute, I lose the power that I gained the most recently. I just can't use it anymore. And it's sort of ticking down, which means it's more dangerous to go after someone who has more powers because you survive for longer, if that makes sense. But yeah, so you steal their power. You're so baller, or God was like, okay, this guy not following the rules. That's the thing, though. They don't usually enforce this rule too much, so it's a lot of PvP from people on your side who maybe decided that you broke the rules even if maybe you didn't. And so let's just say vengeance is a common second choice for people because, fun fact, when you get your power stolen, you can pick a different god if you want to. Because you just kind of got your whole slate got, your whole save file essentially got stolen. Deleted for you, but stolen. Yeah, so your save file is gone. So you can do whatever you want in this new run, including being more stabby. As many choose to. But yeah, so you might be wondering, okay, but like, how are these people alive? Wouldn't you just stab them and murder them after you took their power? Good question. No, you can't. It's not allowed. I decided that because I want maximum angst and I want revenge. So you cannot die for 24 hours. There's like a grace period, essentially, where you can't die after your power has been stolen. So, maximum angst. There's the comeback story. There's the revenge. There's the how could you. It's beautiful. I love it. It encourages you to be evil, but it also encourages you to be awesome and cool, because if everyone likes you and everyone thinks you're cool and you're a chill person, then no one will ever betray you. Probably, definitely not. But maybe you are. But yeah, so some people go the stab route where they're like, okay, well, I'll just murder everyone so no one can ever betray me. But then those people don't usually last very long. Occasionally, one of those people makes it long enough, but it's not very common. Yeah. Other fun fact You know how you can yoink the, save file soul orb thing of their power? Yeah, so you can actually turn that into a magical weapon. If you have the right tools and materials and the know-how, you can create a weapon. And that weapon is... yeah, so essentially you can make magic weapons out of your soul tools or whatever. And I'm sure I'm gonna have some history book stuff where like somebody purposefully who's old, like took out their soul gem, gave it to someone, and while they were invincible, went and like destroyed the enemy or something like that. It should be fun. It will definitely be abused. But essentially the way that I'm playing it, I just mentioned like moderators. That's gonna be the 8 gods, but mostly it's gonna be like their herald situation. I haven't decided if I'm gonna call them something else. I'm gonna say stand-in heralds right now, which is just like the people who got strong enough that they can't be on the mortal plane because that's illegal, because I said so. Yeah, so there's a power cap before you get kicked. You get banned. You get banned and you can only visit for a little bit. So yeah, that's the fun part. There's even more fun lore, but this is kind of running long, so I figured I should cut it off here. But yeah, so this is a very fun world. I'm really excited to play with it because I've come up with a way for every single group to be evil. Actually, I can do it really fast. Okay, so life. You just want to live, so you could just be terrible and mean to people, and so you just, you live. Death is self-explanatory, but you can be nice and like super respectful to the dead, so that's like a way you could be nice. And like, like be chill about it and be like, like, hey, I respect, I'm not gonna take life, like, without caring, like not being like careless about it and being like terrible or whatever. They're like weirdly respectful and honorable about it. Okay, speaking of honor, you can have your honor code be really crappy. So the way that honor works is that it's essentially just like an honor code that you decide. It's sort of an oath that you make, but your honor code could just be like, I don't know, like, there's a way to finagle it, okay? Like you could specifically be like, honor to my kingdom or something, or honor to There's a way to finagle it in which your oath essentially allows you to be a butthole. Yeah. Chaos is pretty self-explanatory. It is one of the negative ones, but essentially the way that chaos works is that it's very focused on like freedom and like doing what you want and not being beholden to rules or like constraints. So, they really like rescue missions because prison, not cool. We don't do prison here. Fun fact, they really like escape rooms. They think it's cool. They make them, they call them prison escapes. It's their initiation ritual. I'm not kidding, this is a true fact. Fun times. Yeah, so, well, escape prisons, not, whatever. Anyways, they're fun. I like chaos. Okay, we did honor, chaos, life, death. Okay, loyalty. You could literally be loyal to the evil person. Loyalty and desire are oftentimes found together because the selfless people, for some reason, tend to flock to the people who want a lot of stuff, and so they need that support. But yeah, loyalty could be to your country, a person, like literally a specific person, an ideal, something. It could be something super evil, like legitimately, you could just do that. And then desire is like sort of like also the power / ambition one. It's just like, what do you want? And you should take it. That's sort of how it goes. So it's one of the bad ones, but you could just want like world peace or like to see your dog that you lost, or you find your sister, or yada yada. There's things you could be like, I want to save the world, You just really want it, and you won't back down. This one's sort of the stubborn one. Yeah. And then vengeance and purity. Purity is kind of like the, hey, like, you know how, like, you always kind of have, whenever there's a religion involved, there's usually, like, corrupt clergy people. That's kind of the energy here, where, like, hey, can I interest you in pompous and thinking we're better than everyone and being a butt about it? Yeah, so they're gonna be like that. Some of them are gonna be chill and be like, better yourself. Forgiveness is cool, and I like people. But minority, they're gonna be in the minority. Nobody likes them. They kind of suck. Fun times. Yeah, and then vengeance. Vengeance, again, I think I mentioned it earlier. It's kind of like a coin flip. You're like, maybe you want revenge against a terrible murderer, and maybe you want revenge against someone who took your peaches in 3rd grade, and you still haven't gotten over that for some reason. Ooh, fun fact. I have another fun thing that I was gonna add in like a separate lore video, but now I can't not yap about it because I thought it was really cool when I came up with it. Vengeance has this thing called a blood book. So the way that a blood book works, let me get up and close and personal because this is fun. So the way that a blood book works is that you make it. It's like an arts and crafts situation. You make it. Your blood is involved. There's some funky, it's kind of gross. I haven't decided exactly what it is, but it should be definitely gross and definitely painful. But this item is kind of cracked. A blood book is essentially like a grudge book that you have, but it's magical. So everyone in Vengeance has one, because that's your ritual, is you make one. That's how you get in. So the general like motto of Vengeance is like, let no harm be unpunished, or something. Let no something to that effect. I'd have to go look at the thing to find it exactly, but you do that by writing people's names down. I promise it's not the Death Note, but it's kind of like that a little bit. Essentially, what happens is when you write someone's name down, it like lives there forever until the person dies. If the person dies, it will like disappear, or that page will like do something visually. The other thing it has that's really nifty is that if the person whose name you've written down is within like 1 to 5 miles away from you, your book will glow. So you can find the people who are on your dirty list. I will say, this is also really handy for tracking purposes, because the way that you clear it or like delete it from your system is you have that person's blood and you draw it like on the book. The book like eats it and then like it disappears from the book or whatever. It's kind of creepy, but like in a cool way. I promise, it's super edgy. Sorry, I thought of it. I was like, it's too cool. And then I came up with the Little Mercy. The Little Mercy is a tiny knife that all of them have that they carry around with their book. And essentially it's like weirdly like a forgiveness thing. So if someone in Vengeance has like not like doesn't like, they kind of have like forgiven you a little bit, they can't get rid of it from the book, but they can cut you a little bit, and then that drop of blood can clear you from the book. And so it's like this huge deal and like a big like very like are you sure kind of moment when someone from Vengeance is like holds out their Little Mercy as like a peace offering to like clear you from their book. It's really fun. I really like the cultural thing that's going on there. I love that that's like, oh, we don't let our grudges go, but like, hey, sometimes we do, and it's a big deal when we do, and it's just good stuff. Anyways, I love this world and this story. If you come up with any cool powers or game-breaking commands that you would use, I'll let you know if that wouldn't be allowed or how I would tell you to rephrase it so you could get the thing that you want in the comments. So, let me know what you think. This story's working title is Boundaries. I think I'll write that in the title so that you know what it is. But that's the working title because I came up with it. I was like, yo, what if you could like force people to respect your boundaries? Because like some people are like, don't touch me. I don't like being touched. Don't hug me. I don't like being that. Or like, please don't yell in my presence. Or like, you know, people have like boundaries, you know? And so I was like, what if there was a thing you could do where you could force people to listen to you. And it's just not, you just can't not. And I was like, oh, and then it went crazy. And as you can see, it spiraled into this cracked mess of, beautiful cracked mess of a power system, which I will have to balance heavily. Yeah. Again, thanks for listening. I can't believe if anyone actually got to the end of this. This is so long. I hope you had fun. I hope you like my cool ideas. Bye.